years of collecting in the 80s and finally getting back into the hobby this year in 2025. This is the end result of trying to display my cards to enjoy them as much as I can instead of having them all put in boxes and not being able to see them. So here's the story of this wall. Hi, it's Glenn again. Welcome back to Dugout to Cardboard, my YouTube channel that's dedicated to my sports card collecting hobby and my return to the hobby this year in 2025, and also weaving in some of my personal minor league baseball playing experience time as well. One of the projects I had showed you a few episodes ago was the beginnings and the plans of my ultimate card display wall, and happy to be here today to give you a glimpse at what it looks like. Finally finished and have a few open spots in there. I'll show you as we get into it, but very excited about how it turned out, and it's a great way to be able to display and enjoy the cards a whole lot more than having them stored away in boxes. If you remember the previous episode, I showed you the layout of what the wall looks like with the display cases planned, as well as some J-channel rows planned. Give you a little bit of a refresher with this picture here and show you what the plans were, and then a little bit of a change along the way. Ended up getting a couple of extra cases, more than I had planned. So I had a decision to make. I put the extra cases up on the wall or send them back and continue with the J channel down the middle. So as you see, when I get over there to show you, and the beginning intro that you saw just now, I ended up putting all the cases on the wall. Still like the J channel in the middle. That kind of breaks up the monotony a little bit of the cases. So really like the mixture of the two, and I hope you like how it turned out. Hey, I'm excited to also hear about how everyone else displays their cards and enjoys their cards. There's so many ways to do this. I've seen a lot of YouTube videos from people that have some incredible card rooms. This is really just a card wall for me. This room here is multi-use, got a lot of things going on up here in this office, but baseball cards and my hobby is one of them. So I'm not taking up the whole room, but the one wall definitely is dedicated to sports cards right now. I told you about my projects and some of those that I'm working on. That's going to lead heavily into how I populated the cards on the wall. So if you haven't heard about the projects, you'll get a little bit of a glimpse here as I walk you through and show you what the wall looks like. So there you go. Here's 6 display cases that hold 35 cards maximum. If you start getting a lot of graded cards into those cases, they'll only hold about 30 if most of the cards are graded. But I don't have too many graded cards, so right now I can get 35 into each of those cases. And then the J channel right there in the middle, got 3, 6, 7 rows, holds I think 17 cards in a row. All those are in top loaders and magnetic one touches. So got quite a few cards on the wall. So let me walk you through what each case and row contains. We'll start with the J channel rows. Very top row. You'll hear stories about all the folks on the top row soon. Those were all managers and coaches I had in the minor leagues, starting over there with Ferguson Jenkins, working all the way down to Sammy Mahias. Then I've put my cards, my 4 cards that I had in the minor leagues up there. After my cards, I've got a couple of teammates that I had in the minor leagues. The second row, I start with players that, local players that I played with growing up in Little League and in high school. You saw the episode about those players a few episodes ago. That gets us all the way down to about right there. And then starting with Chad Fox, those are teammates that I had in the minor leagues. I had 2 on the top row, but then I picked up and finished out the second row with teammates in the minor leagues. You see a lot of Cincinnati Reds since that was the organization I was in. All the way, this next row is completely filled of teammates that I had in the minor leagues that made it to the major leagues. These are all major league cards at this point. So again, these are going to be folks that I'll get to tell some good stories about in upcoming episodes. All right, then I've got a gap, so I've got an opportunity to add some cards there. But then starting right here, alphabetically, I've got the Hall of Famers that I'm collecting, as well as the superstars that didn't make the Hall of Fame. These are their last cards. So if I have their very last card produced, then I've put it up here in the J channel. So starting with Dick Allen, Luis Aparicio, Ernie Banks, Johnny Bench, and then that whole row and the next 3 rows alphabetically are the last cards of that group of players. I think I've got 148 players that I'm collecting. Combination, mostly Hall of Famers that played in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and then a set of players that have not made the Hall of Fame that I've mentioned a few times along the way. People like Thurman Munson, George Foster, Eric Davis, Darryl Strawberry, some of my favorite players when I was growing up. But you can see that's not 148 cards, so I don't have every player's last card yet. So that's part of one of my projects, is trying to make sure I get their last card. And as I get them, I'll put them on the wall here. And then the cases, if you can kind of think about the same 148 players, what I've done with the cases, starting alphabetically, their rookie card or the earliest card that I have of them. So Hank Aaron, 1971 Topps is my earliest card I have of Hank. Dick Allen right there. Roberto Alomar, Luis Aparicio, 1968. And then you see a gap. So what I've done with little index cards are, you can see players that I do not have any cards of yet. So as soon as I obtain a card of Richie Ashburn, it will go here because it will be the earliest card that I have of his, since it will be the only card I have of his. So that gives me an opportunity to fill in some gaps. If I go backwards here a little bit, you'll see in the first case, missing Richie Ashburn, Yogi Berra, Roy Campanella, and Whitey Ford. Those are the players that I'm missing. And you can see I've got quite a few rookie cards in there. Dennis Eckersley rookie, Carlton Fisk's rookie, Andre Dawson, Gary Carter, Roger Clemens, Will Clark. There's one of my favorite cards. Just recently purchased that one since I got back into the hobby in January. One of my favorite cards there, 1959, Roberto Clemente. It was definitely a great pickup I had earlier this year. Second case starts with George Foster, ends alphabetically with, hey, Mickey Mantle. Don't have a Mickey Mantle card. That one might be an open gap for a while. As most everybody knows, those cards are quite pricey, no matter what condition you get them in. So missing Mickey Mantle, Sandy Koufax, Gil Hodges in that case. Some of the highlights in this case, rookie card, Derek Jeter right there, Greg Maddux. One of my oldest cards, 1954, Bob Lemon. Another 1954 oldest card I have, Monty Irvin. Ricky Henderson rookie, of course, is classic and iconic. Dwight Gooden, one of my favorite players growing up, is 1984 Fleer Update rookie. Next case starts with Juan Marichal. Earliest card I have of Juan is 1968. Some of the gaps I've got in this case, Eddie Matthews, Joe Mauer. So again, some new players that I've got on the list. They started playing about the time I quit collecting, actually even later than that, but they all are Hall of Famers, so figured I'd put them on the list and start adding some of their cards. Minnie Minoso, David Ortiz, and another recent player, Mariano Rivera. So still have opportunities to get some of the more recent cards. Some of the highlights in this case, Kirby Puckett's 84 Fleer Update, Pee Wee Reese, earliest card I have of him, only card I have of Pee Wee Reese. Eddie Murray rookie was always one that I wanted growing up. That was right in the wheelhouse of when I started collecting, late 70s, 1978. Was fortunate enough to get one of those when I returned to the hobby this year. Stan Musial picked that up at the card show. You saw that a few episodes ago. My earliest Willie Mays, 1968. Very happy with having a Willie Mays card in the collection. Next case over. Got a few gaps at the top. Phil Rizzuto, Robin Roberts. Actually have a Robin Roberts on the way, 1962, so that'll go in there when I get it. Jackie Robinson, there's the other big gap that will probably be there for a while. Just very, very expensive for his only handful of cards he has in his playing days. But definitely a grail card for me to have a Jackie Robinson one day. CC Sabathia, Red Schoendienst, Duke Snyder. That's the gaps in that case. Some of the highlights, you saw the Warren Spahn 1957 tops. Got that for my birthday. Other highlights in this case. My oldest Nolan Ryan 1974. And my oldest Pete Rose, 1970. Obviously two huge players when I was collecting in the 80s that still looking to get some earlier cards of. The last case of this, finished up with the top row here. Ted Williams is a gap, another one that's going to be pretty pricey to find. But excited to have a 63 Hoyt Wilhelm Billy Williams rookie card, 1961. That's my oldest, second oldest rookie Hall of Fame card I have, 1961. The other one was back Jim Cott, 1960. I have his rookie card. Then I've got some gaps. I finished up the alphabet there with Robin Yount's second year card. And then I've got a few open spots I can keep filling. I put a few cards at the bottom, just some of my more, I guess, valuable cards per se. Another Willie Mays, 1972. There's a 61 Cott. Couple Warren Spahn cards. Hank Aaron, 74, 75, 76. 76 Aaron is his last card. I couldn't put it in the last card section because I built those J channels to only hold the top loaders and the magnetic cases. So the Hank Aaron I have as his last card down there in the bottom right is graded. So I had to put it in the display case instead of the J channel. And then I have one more case that you're going to learn about more as we go. A lot of Michael Jordan cards. Actually, two of my most valuable cards right there in the top left. Michael's second year cards. 1987, 88 Fleer. Some of his baseball cards. Hint, hint. You'll hear more about that later. And then some other basketball cards. Bo Jackson football, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Kobe, Shaq, some of the key basketball players. Even there's my one Wayne Gretzky card, not a valuable card, but when I returned to the hobby, one of my first things was, hey, let's get some of the GOATs, even if it was, you know, $1 or $2 card, I wanted one. Steph Curry, WNBA, my oldest daughter played basketball, so very interested in the women's basketball game and the women's softball game with my younger daughter. So WNBA cards, Caitlin Clark, Paige Beckers, LeBron, Peyton Manning, Earl Campbell, another one of the graded cards I have. Just found a really good deal on that one when I first returned to the hobby. So went ahead and jumped on that. So that is my wall as it stands today. A couple of glares, try to get out, but tell me what you think. You like the gaps that I left, the index cards? How do you display yours? What ideas do you have that I can learn from? I like the ability, I'll be able to change these out if I want to, you know, switch it up from, you know, Hall of Famers. I could put one set, all the Hall of Famers in one set up here, occasionally rotate them out. I could, you know, do one player, all the cards from one player. I could do that sometimes. So interested to hear what your ideas are. But I'm really excited how this turned out. It's a really good way every time I come up to this room to, take some time and look at those and enjoy them, as opposed to digging through boxes and having to flip through them all the time. Well, thanks for letting me walk you around that display and explain how I've populated it so far. I've got some binders that I'm working on as well, top loader binders that I'll share in upcoming episodes. So I'm looking at all sorts of ways to enjoy the hobby and enjoy my cards. But again, if you got ideas, comments on how you do it, please put them in the comments below. Would love to interact with you and learn from you as well. Thanks for taking the time to watch today, and we'll see you next time from the dugout to the cardboard.